Y'all, it took me a couple of days to gather my thoughts to come on here and do some commentary on the Daybell Affidavit because I've been picking my mouth up off the ground after I read it. Now, in this video, I'm going to be discussing the aspects of the affidavit that stuck out to me that I want to make some commentary on. If you do want to hear like a full read through of it word for word, I'm going to drop a link down below. Well, two links. One of them is going to be to, where you can click it and read the affidavit. And the other one's going to be to a friend of mine, Awen Rees. She has a video where she reads through. She has a beautiful reading voice. And so check that out if you want that. I'm going to give you my two little bitter cents on this one. And here we go. So we're going to start with number 6, and this is the last verifiable sighting of Tylee Ryan, which was on September 8th, 2019 at the Yellowstone National Park. The last verifiable sighting of JJ Vallow was September 22nd, 2019. This was at Lori's apartment in Rexburg, and that is when he was seen by Miss Melanie Gibb. Let's just keep those dates in mind because we will be revisiting them. Number 7 in the affidavit just covers how Lori Vallow had moved to Rexburg around September 1st, 2019 with her children, Tylee, JJ, and her brother Alex. Now, Alex lived with her in the same little townhome thing at first, and then he got his own place. So again, right off the rip here, I'm looking at it like, okay, they moved there on September 1st, and then literally before September is even over with, I mean, look at all the destruction and death that happened. Number 8, I'm going to read it verbatim because it just warrants that. Lori Vallow's close friend, Melanie Gibb, has cooperated with Idaho and Arizona law enforcement regarding the investigation of the children. Melanie Gibb has reported that from September 19th, 2019 through the morning of September 23rd, 2019, she visited Lori Vallow at her new residence in Rexburg, Idaho. Pause. So look at that. The last verifiable sighting of JJ is the 22nd. She was at Lori's place till the 23rd. Let's proceed. Gibb reports that when she arrived in Rexburg, Lori Vallow informed her that JJ had become a zombie. Gibb further reports that the term zombie refers to an individual whose mortal spirit has left their body and that their body is now the host of another spirit. The new spirit in a zombie is always considered a dark spirit. While the dark spirit inhabits the host body, the person's true spirit goes into limbo and is stuck there until the host body is physically killed. As such, the death of the physical body is seen as the mechanism by which the body's original spirit can be released from limbo. This belief was told to Gibb by Lori Vallow. Lori Vallow had learned it from Chad Daybell and immediately told Gibb. Gibb was present with Lori Vallow when Chad Daybell first taught Lori this information over the phone in early 2019 in reference to Charles Vallow. Okay, so let's pause for 1 second. First of all, this, and we've heard this stuff before. If you've been following this case, we've heard this, the zombie talk. You've heard me talk about it. And in here we're getting these explanations for it. Again, this whole thing of, oh, well, I've heard them talk about it first in reference to Charles Vallow. I still just think that Chad basically, if somebody was in his way of something, an easy way for him to initiate others to get rid of them or whatever was to be like, oh, they're a zombie now. So much time and energy has clearly been put into the rules of this Twisted Dungeons and Dragons game that I'm just like, my God, could they not have found a better hobby? Now, number 9, I'm going to read verbatim again because it's just that horrifying. Melanie Gibb has further informed me that Lori Vallow called Tylee a zombie in the spring of 2019. Gibb was on the phone with Lori and heard Lori call Tylee a zombie, to which Tylee responded, "Not me, Mom." This arose out of Lori requiring Tylee to babysit JJ, and Tylee did not want to. Lori Vallow also told Gibb that Tylee had turned into a zombie when she was 12 or 13, which was approximately the same time Tylee had become difficult to deal with. So let's just unpack that for a second. First of all, the fact that, she's hearing her call Tylee a zombie on the phone, and Tylee's like, not me. This tells me, and again, these are my opinions and me reading between the line here, so this isn't, fact or whatever. I wasn't there, obviously. I mean, this tells me, okay, so Tylee knew enough about that. She had heard this zombie talk. So Lori's like talking about this almost like she was using it as like a threat. You know what I mean? Because almost like taunting the children, like, oh, you turned into a zombie. I mean, did they know like what was on the way? Like, did they know their mother and her new boyfriend thought this way? Like, oh, dark spirits, and we're here to get rid of all the dark spirits, and the children are now dark spirits. Now, obviously, the whole thing to me is that the second something doesn't go the way these psychopaths want it to, it's up there zombie, up there this. I mean, really what it comes down to is they didn't want the responsibility of children, at least Lori's children. You know, Chad has his own children, which apparently people that Chad doesn't really, you know, want to have anything bad blood with or whatever, they don't turn into zombies except for Tammy, but he wanted to get rid of her. It goes on to talk about how Gibb, you know, told them more information, you know, how Lori said that, you know, it was their belief that her and Chad are to lead this group of 144,000, and they're part of this Church of the Firstborn. And she also says that, you know, Lori had stated it was their mission to rid the world of zombies. So right here, let's just pause again. Okay, so you're talking to this friend who, we're supposed to lead 144,000, you know, we're supposed to rid the world of zombies, and oh god, the children don't want to babysit, and they're turning into zombies and all this. That's, I mean, I'm just like, at what point do you, I mean, and who do you call? You know what I'm saying? Like, can you imagine calling CPS with that? I mean, what do you do? You know, but on that note, you do something. You know, you reach out. You don't just say, you know, oh, this is normal, or, yeah, you know what, I think they might be onto something here. That's where, you know, I think a lot of people have an issue with Melanie Gibb, and obviously Melanie Pulowski. You know, but with Melanie Gibb, I feel like she's trying to sell the story, like, backing away from her involvement in it, and I'm just like, no, you're knee deep in this, it looks like. Now, y'all, number 12 talks about the evidence that they have gathered about J.J. Vallow and his school attendance and things of this nature. So the first week of September, so when they moved there, J.J. Vallow was registered at the Kennedy Elementary School in Rexburg. So, like, there's that. Now, on September 23rd, he had the excused absence. So remember, the 22nd is the last time a verifiable sighting by Miss Gibb. September 24th, Lori calls someone at the school district and tells them that JJ is going to be going to visit his grandparents, and that he won't be home until the end of October. Now, at the end of October, on October 29th, you know, another phone call is made to the school district. Oh, we're going to be homeschooling him. You know, so he's not coming back, basically. So you see how they bought themselves all this time. Like, oh, he's doing this and da-da-da-da-da. And at first, you know, especially at the school, I mean, this is going to be like, okay. You know, but again, they'll see evidence of he was never homeschooled. There was nobody else who ever, you know, registered for him for any kind of school or classes. So, you know, you can see where they bought themselves some time, but that was never going to last. Now, number 13 talks about that last verifiable sighting with Tylee, which was at the Yellowstone National Park, September 8th, 2019. Now, this is where they start getting into all the evidence that brought them down. Real quick. And one thing that I'm very thankful for when we see these like really complicated cases is how technology always brings them down. You know, if you're going to commit a crime, I always say this: number one, don't go to Walmart, just stay away. And then just know you are being recorded, and for God's sakes, if you have a phone on you, I mean, you're kidding me? Thank God they weren't smart enough to turn their phones off, because it literally led the police and the investigators, you know, right around to everything that happened. But again, number 13 in the affidavit is talking about how they used Alex Cox's, you know, cell phone pings and, you know, things of this nature to track his whereabouts. Now, number 14 establishes what CAST is, which is the Cellular Analysis Survey Team. This is an FBI unit that analyzes the cell phone records and things of this nature, and it establishes essentially what they do and how they go about this. So then we start getting into the evidence that they have of like the whereabouts of Alex. So a lot of us, when we read this part, were just in total shock, because it started confirming again all the stuff that these families were like, no, y'all are crazy. And I'm like, no, this is, I mean, in black and white here. So number 15 talks about how Cass was able to tell that Alex left the west entrance of the Yellowstone National Park. He goes out for barbecue. He returns to Rexburg over at Lori's apartment, goes out again, comes back, and he's like at his place. Then we get into the realty. Now again, I'm going to read this one verbatim because it warrants it. On Monday, September 9th from 12 a.m., Cox's phone was located at his apartment. However, at 2:42 to 3:37 a.m., Cox is located again at Lori's apartment, where Lori lived with Tylee and JJ. This is significant, not only because he was there in the middle of the night, but also because this is the only time in September he appears to go over to Lori's between midnight and 6 a.m. So here you go. We start seeing this where, I mean, it just sends chills down your spine because you know what's going on, most likely. I'm going to read 17 verbatim. At 4:37, Alex went back to his apartment until 8:59. At 9:21, he was located at a property which is the residence of Chad Daybell. It should be noted that while Chad Daybell's address is listed as Rexburg, it is actually located in Fremont County, Idaho. The 9:21 reading is a GPS data point and places him behind the home on Daybell's property near the east end of the barn. Y'all, we all know it was at the east end of that barn at this point. When I first read this, I mean, I'm not lying, my mouth was on the floor. I was just like, oh my God, how could this man do this to these poor children? But again, these people aren't viewing death like you and I are. That's why they've all had these smug little grins on their faces and laughed at the public, because they're looking at it like, oh no, we did these children a favor. They were zombies. Those weren't the kids anymore. I mean, that's how messed up they are. Now again, I'm going to read number 18 verbatim here. Alex Cox's phone was still at Daybell residence at 10:39. At 10:47, his phone shows a hit at the city of St. Anthony. At this time, we are unable to tell if he was actually inside the city limits of St. Anthony, which is about a 5-minute drive from the Daybell residence, or if this was a cell tower ping on his phone while he was still at the Daybell residence. At 10:57 to 11:39, Cox is located at the Daybell property. At 11:52 to 12:02, he was at Del Taco in Rexburg. He appears to spend most of the rest of the day in his apartment. So what this tells us is that he went and did this absolutely gruesome Texas Chainsaw Massacre level crime, went out for tacos, and then went back to his apartment. You know, and I'm just sitting here, and again, like, I just go back to, like, you know, Melanie Gibb's interview, Melanie Pulowski's interview, you know, and they just talk like these are just the nicest people. And hey, we've seen other serial killers and stuff out there who nobody would ever guess, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I mean, I get that, but I just do not see how something in Alex's personality that he was willing to kill all these people just did not become apparent to people that were supposedly really close to him, like Melanie P. Now this goes on to then talk about some text messages that were retrieved, and the one we're going to discuss is specifically between Tammy Daybell and Chad Daybell, and it is chilling. So on September 9th, 2019, remember, this is the next day after Tylee's last confirmed, you know, sighting. This is the national park. I'm going to read this verbatim, but here it is on the screen. Chad to Tammy at 11:53 a.m. Well, I've had an interesting morning. I felt I should burn all of the limb debris by the fire pit before it got too soaked by the coming storms. While I did so, I spotted a big raccoon along the fence. I hurried and got my gun, and he was still walking along. I got close enough that one shot did the trick. He is now in our pet cemetery. Fun times. Chad to Tammy at 11:56, so a few minutes later. Gonna shower now and then go right for a while at BYU. Love you. Tammy to Chad at 2:47 p.m. Good for you. Chad to Tammy at 2:48 p.m. I'm back home now. Y'all, this clearly is a bunch of BS. First of all, he came up, that's the most contorted damn story I have ever heard in my life. You know, first of all, and we'll get more into the evidence later here, you know, neighbors and stuff are saying, look, he never used that fire pit until all this went down. You know, the neighbors heard the gunshot. So, and again, we'll get it, it's in another section. So, he's lying. We all know this. We all know what was going on. He's just creating this story so that he can explain away why he's burning stuff and why gunshots are going on. Now, again, do we know exactly what went down there in that moment? No. Can we start to connect the dots? Yeah. Again, my worry, I look at all these people just guilty. I don't care who pulled the trigger on the damn gun. Lori, Chad, Alex, for sure. go ahead and start marching Melanie P and Melanie G in right behind him, as far as I'm concerned. You know, these people are all just as guilty. I, again, think that Chad Daybell is going to somehow try and play it off on Alex since he's not here to defend himself. But we shall see. Let's continue. Now, the next passage talks about how, the neighbors were like, look, he never used this fire pit until all this started going down. Now, his son, Garth, is the one who told the neighbors that they were interviewing, like, look, Dad, he told the raccoon story, because I guess they were asking, like, what was the gunshot, what was up with that. So, I mean, y'all, as we see a lot of times, these aren't smart criminals. They've got their phones on. They're doing, shooting people in the middle of the morning or whatever. I mean, really? Again, thank God they're stupid, because now we can just clearly walk right back and see exactly what went on. Now, number 22 talks about how a detective contacted Chad Daybell's sister, Samantha. Now, he was asking her basically like, are you aware of this pet cemetery thing? And she's like, yeah, you know what? Chad and them have one. We have one at our house too. We're all big pet people, so, I get that. I had a little pet cemetery when we were growing up, although I wasn't, burying people out in it. We have seen this movie before, and I'm actually starting to convince myself that they have literally gotten their belief system out of Dungeons and Dragons and Stephen King novels. Now, y'all, I'm going to read number 23 verbatim. The above facts establish that Alex Cox appeared to be at the Daybell property on September 9th, 2019 until at least 11:39. Chad sent the text to Tammy about burning debris and shooting and burying the raccoon in the pet cemetery only 14 minutes later at 11:53. The pet cemetery referenced by Chad Daybell is located at the same location as most of the pings on Alex Cox's phone on September 9th, 2019. I mean, y'all, if these people were playing the game Clue, it's like they just picked their cards up in the middle of the damn game and showed all the rest of the players. This is who did it, in what room, and with what. Now, number 24 goes into some conversations with Melanie Gibb and her boyfriend, David Warwick. That last name is just so similar to Warlock. I mean, that's all I can think of. Now, he says they discussed in depth the 22nd, the 23rd, that weekend that they spent there with Lori. So I'm going to read verbatim for this one too. We discuss in depth the weekend of September 22nd and 23rd, 2019, due to the fact that both Gibb and Warwick stayed at Lori Valor's residence in Rexburg that weekend. Gibb informed me, consistent with information she has previously given to law enforcement, that she arrived in Rexburg on September 19th, 2019. Soon after she arrived, Lori Valor informed Gibb that JJ had become a zombie, and pointed out behaviors such as sitting still and watching TV, claiming JJ said he loved Satan, and an increased vocabulary as evidence that JJ was now a zombie. Gibb observed JJ's behavior and felt it to be the same as she always observed it. So let's just unpack this real quick as to what qualifies for a zombie in Lori's household. Expanding vocabulary, this is education, knowledge, this is a scary thing. Here's the thing, she's talking like this kid's coming out, saying the damn Ten Commandments in Latin or something, with his head spinning around. It's like she's taking things from the movies. It's like, did she just watch The Exorcist or something? It doesn't even make sense. Let's just talk for a second about the fact that Melanie and Warlord sat there and continued to stay. I mean, can you imagine going to your friends who you already know, like if you're like not down with this or whatever, you're on the fence about it, and you get to your friends and they're like legitly pointing out behaviors of their child and like, look at him. I mean, look at him. Look at how he's like reading that book. That's devil talk. You know what I'm saying? I mean, why? I mean, I would get up and go. Certainly not stay the whole weekend. Let's go to number 25. The last time Gibb and Warwick verifiably saw JJ was the night of September 22nd, 2019. Warwick informed us that it was late and that Gibb, Valor, and Warwick were going to do a podcast. Warwick said that JJ was acting up, and so Alex Cox took JJ to his apartment in the complex. When Alex returned later that night, he was carrying JJ, who appeared to be asleep, with his head on Alex's shoulder. Warwick specifically remembered this because he saw it as a tender moment. I mean, oh my God. But again, do you see this pattern going here? First of all, they're all going to do one of their little stupid podcast things. So the kid's getting in the way of that, being a kid. This is normal, you know, and it's like, oh God, he's trying to, you know, impede our message for the world because they all think they are here to save the world. So you can start seeing how they start to justify, he's a zombie, he doesn't want us to do this, you know, and I'm just like, how do you even, like, do that? Then the part about Alex bringing him back and he was asleep, I was just like, my heart sunk. Because again, with the Gibbs and stuff like that, with the Gibbs and Warlord, I'm just like, hello, you know, the last thing I would be doing is going publicly with all of these interviews that she's doing, full well knowing that I was there during the last moments of this kid's life. Number 26. Warwick further informed us that when he woke up in the morning of September 23rd, 2019, he asked Lori where JJ was. This was between 8 and 9 a.m. Lori informed Warwick and Gibb that JJ had been acting like a zombie and had been crawling on the kitchen cabinetry and had gotten on the top of the cabinetry in the space between the cabinetry and the ceiling. She informed Warwick and Gibb that when JJ had climbed upon the cabinetry that he had knocked a picture of Jesus off the refrigerator. Vallow then informed Warwick and Gibb that Alex had come and taken JJ. Y'all, this was literally like 20 some days after they moved there. The fact that she's like, oh, he knocked a picture of Jesus off the refrigerator, like that clearly set her over the edge. That told her this is the devil in my house. If she truly believed that, I mean, this is a disturbed person. And I'm not trying to like say that she can get out of this like being like, you know, insanity or anything. But I mean, come on. I don't think she truly believed this stuff. I just think she wanted to get rid of the kid and she probably wanted money. Number 27. The FBI CAS team has analyzed Alex Cox's movements the morning of September 23rd, 2019 by his cell phone GPS. At 9:55, Alex is again on Chad Daybell's property. He was there until 10:12. The pings on his phone locate Alex near the pond on Chad's property at the northern edge of his property. Again, so sometime during this time is when Alex does the deed. Melanie Gibb and them are there. So do with that what you will. And of course she's just trying to back right out of that. And again, you know, could this have been different if she had said, this is really bizarre. My friend whose task it is to get rid of all the zombies on Earth continually keeps proving to me the evidence that her child is a zombie and I haven't seen the other child either. Now it goes on to talk about how they analyze the pings on the phone to basically look at the frequency of Alex's visits to Chad's house. Now they find that there's 4 visits there during the month of September. 2 of them, it's like almost like a normal visit of somebody stopping in. It's at the house, you know, they get in, they leave, whatever. Then the other 2 are the 2 where he's like out, you know, where the bodies were found. So again, I mean, I love that they could ping to that degree to like make that difference. I mean, it's just poetic. I mean, it's like those kids were talking to us from the grave and saying, this is what they did to us. Now, then it goes in to discuss how, you know, June 9th, this is when the search warrant was executed at Chad's property. So they're taking the information, the cell phone pings, as well as text messages that Chad had sent Tammy to basically walk right up to these locations. So the first location that they go to is on the north side of the pond. And they say that this corresponded with 2 of the cell phone pings from Alex on September 23rd, 2019. They found some disturbed earth. So they say that they removed the first layer of the sod and they found several large flat rocks. So they take the rocks out and then they find 2 flat pieces of paneling. So they take the paneling out, they find a round object covered in black plastic. I'm going to read the next couple of ones verbatim because they just warrant it. Number 33. Upon exposing the round object covered in black plastic, a strong odor was noticed. A FBI ER team member used a small, sharp instrument and made a small incision in the plastic, and a layer of white plastic was observed. An incision was made into the white layer of plastic, exposing what appeared to be human remains, the crown of a head covered in light brown hair. Number 34. The remaining dirt around this object was methodically removed, exposing what appeared to be a body wrapped in black plastic. The plastic appeared to be tightly wrapped around the body and secured with gray duct tape. I mean, can you just imagine the horror of these people finding this? They said that they had an anthropologist there. They confirmed these are human remains. And then they go to the second site. Number 36. A second site of interest was located behind a red unattached outbuilding located roughly in the center of the property near a fire pit. Next to the fire pit is an area used as a pet cemetery. This site correlated to several GPS pings of Alex Cox's phone on September 9th, 2019. So they do some probing around here and they do find some, former pets and whatnot. Then they bring in a backhoe and they start digging up and they find like some red bricks. 38. Once the red bricks were discovered, the soil was examined and what appeared to be 2 bones were located. Based on the condition of the bones, Cheryl Anderson was not able to determine whether the bones were human. Number 39. Methodically, the dirt in this area was searched and several other items of interest were found, including other bones, charred tissue, and charred bones. Cheryl Anderson indicated these additional bones, both charred and uncharred, and tissue found were human remains. Number 40. Investigators provided photos of some of the partial remains that were found at the pet cemetery to Sarah Getz, Ph.D., a forensic anthropologist. Dr. Getz was able to identify those remains as being non-adult human remains. And then to polish it off, the real pisser of it is once they start digging this stuff up, Chad Daybell, he's been watching them do this, sitting in his truck, whatever. He takes off and he leaves. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Where's the braveness now? If this was supposed to be the way it is, why go to such lengths to bury the children? I mean, why not just put it out there for everyone to say? This is the part that really disgusts me about them, because they know somewhere inside of them right for wrong. They might not say it because they want to use it and pivot it to their own narrative, but at the end of the day, if they really believe this stuff, then why go to the lengths to bury the children like this, or to manipulate Alex to do it, whatever BS they did, and then why run, Chad? I mean, come on. And so this is when they did the traffic stop on him and they pulled him over, and the rest is, so they say, history. After reading this, thank God these people are in jail. I am waiting to see what happens with the Melanies, Melanie Plowski, Melanie Gibb, and anyone else associated with this group. This is why we are totally seeing all these people come out. Oh, well, we forgive everybody. We forgive everybody. Because they know that's what they're wanting to have done to them. If you want to watch more of my videos on this, click on the link over here or the little video, and I'll talk to you later.